All right, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all. I'm pretty excited about the event, even though I'm not going myself. I will be babysitting so that Adonia can go, and we have last count, we have 19 people going from our community, so it's really fantastic, yeah. So I am not the MC today, but I am here to introduce a very special person who is going to be taking Joelle's place as MC every other week. And I don't know how many of you have had the chance to meet and get to know Clara, but Clara and her husband Mitsu, they moved here just a month ago, right? Yeah, just a month ago, and already she, is so open and willing to just be involved in different things, and I'm just really excited. It's been such a pleasure to get to know Clara. She's got a very bright spirit, very confident persona. And she's just a really great, her and her husband are just great additions to our community. So if you haven't had the chance to get to know Clara yet, don't miss out on your opportunity. And she's here, and she's going to be our MC today. So let's welcome her up with a big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Mike, and it's a pleasure to be here. Good morning, everybody. All right, let's do that one more time. Good morning. Good morning. That's what I'm talking about. Well, welcome to church. Welcome to sermon today. I'm so excited to really be your MC. I have a lot of experience public speaking, and I'm so excited to share that passion with you all today. So without further ado, I'd like to specifically and intentionally welcome any new guests to our community. So if there's any new guests, we'd love for you to stand up and introduce yourself. And if not, maybe you're too shy, we just want to thank you for coming. We're so thrilled that you're here to join us in worship together. So now we're going to have some greeting time, and also all the children in the audience, you can please feel free to be dismissed to Sunday school. So children, please feel free to go to Sunday school, and everybody, let's create some love and beauty in this room through greeting our community. Hey everybody, thank you so much for such amazing energy. Please make your way back to your seats so we can continue with our program. Thank you so much, everybody. Please be seated. Such a beautiful energy and spirit, right? That was my favorite part of church and continues to be, when everybody kind of shows the love and reconnects to everyone else in the community. So at this time, I'd like to actually offer a prayer. So if everybody could join me in prayer, that would be so wonderful. Dear Heavenly Parent, thank you for every single person in this room, that we can worship together, we can take a moment and connect to you. Each and every day, I always try to remember, is a gift. It's a gift from you, and it's a gift to include you back into our thoughts, into our actions, and into the way that we love other people. I know that every single person in this room is here for a reason. Please open their minds and open their hearts for them to feel more, to love more, and to gain your wisdom today from our sermon giver. We're so grateful that not only do we have each other, but we have such amazing leadership within the church, as shown by our local pastors. And we have such an exciting event coming up this Saturday that we hope we can all do our due diligence to support, and that we only wish the best of successes for it to go down this Saturday. We are so excited with everything that's going on in our community, and I hope that we can do our role to support that as well. And I also want to ask you to be with all of those who might not be in this building today. And may we all remember our role in reaching out to them and being that kind of love giver that you're asking us to be, to connect to those in our workplace, in our home, even our extended family that maybe we haven't been in touch with for a while. Let's do our role in really reaching out to them and being the person you want us to be. So I want to offer this prayer not only in my name, but in every person's name in this room. Ask for such a successful program today and having a wonderful week for everyone who's here today. I want to offer this prayer up in Clara and Mitsu Smith's name, Boston Central couple. Amen and adieu. Thank you so much. So I'm very excited for our sermon today. And the reason why is because Adonia has a very special place in my heart. She and Mike have been instrumental in welcoming me to this community and have been a core reason why we picked Denver for our next step of our lives. Pastor Adonia is going to be speaking about passion and enthusiasm. And when you think about passion, you really think about something that God has put within you that you have to tap out, that you have to put into action every day. And that's pretty much all she gave me to introduce her sermon, so the rest is a secret. So let's show our passion in welcoming up Pastor Adonia this morning.
Thank you so much, Clara. I'm really excited for you being our MC. Good morning, everyone. So happy to see all of you today, and thank you so much for taking your time and effort to be here. But I really hope that you felt pulled and you can't help but come here because of what God is going to give you. So as she mentioned, my topic today is passion and enthusiasm. And I felt like I couldn't talk about anything else this week because of an experience that my kids gave me. If some of you happen to be driving on 14th Avenue this week, anytime between July 3rd and July 5th, you may have noticed that my kids had a full-blown toy sale / lemonade stand going. And it was so adorable. But how it came about was it was actually interesting. This was like just a couple of days after the boys had come back from Missouri. We're trying to adjust to being a whole family again and working out our relationships, sibling relationships. And on the morning of the 3rd, the kids woke up and they just argued about every little thing. Whether Mia picked up this toy and it belonged to Nathan, so she has to give it back. But she was just looking at it, and then as soon as that argument was over, it was something else, and I felt like I was going to go crazy. But all of a sudden, the boys decided they wanted an Xbox. They wanted a video game console. That's what their focus went to. And so they came to me and were telling me, we want to get an Xbox. And I'm not going to buy you an Xbox. I have no interest in video games, and I have no interest in saturating your lives with video games. But if you want an Xbox, then you can raise the money for an Xbox. And so they said, okay. So what can we do? And I was, I gave a couple ideas. Well, you've drawn pictures and sold them at church before, so do you want to do that? No, that we have to wait till Sunday. I want to make it now. I'm like, okay, well, think about what you want to do. So I was continuing on, I don't know, doing dishes or something. And the kids are running back and forth and collecting things, and I'm not exactly sure what they're doing. They're taking things out to the front yard. And before I know it, this is what I see. You can't see so well the lights, but they've got a couple little chairs, some toys, and people are pulling over to buy stuff from them. And I was really surprised, like, wow, I didn't say anything. And I came out, and they've got some little toys lined up. They wrote signs. They listed all their items. You can see on the sign on the bottom, it says open with an exclamation point. Their store is open. And they've got a total of about, I don't know, maybe 25 little toys out there. But they're doing it. They know exactly what they want. And they went after it with every bit of, they don't have much knowledge or experience or anything, but they went after it with everything they had. And it was amazing because people were just pulling over. Every couple minutes, somebody would pull over and say, "What do you got?" "We got toy cars, we got Pokemon." I said, "Okay, give me 5 of those," you know? And it's funny because I've seen a lot of garage sales in my life, and a lot of garage sales, even that I participated in, haven't made a lot of money. But these guys, over the course of 3 days, just a few hours every day, pulled in close to $150 to buy their video game console. And I can't think of any other reason except for because of their passion and their enthusiasm. Because they had a goal in their heart and they weren't willing to accept anything but that. You know, the first day they had made probably $50 or $60, maybe 70. And I was like, well, that's pretty good. And I was like, maybe you can do it again sometime. And they're like, yeah, tomorrow. I'm thinking long term, like maybe it'll take them a couple months to raise money for this, you know. But they had it in their heart that they were going to do it now. So, you know, what is your passion? What has been put on your heart? Are there times in your life when the thought of something was just so exciting for you that you could not help but do something right now to take you on the road towards your goal? And nothing was going to stand in your way. I know for myself, I think the last time that I felt so passionate and excited, enthusiastic about something that I wanted to achieve right now was when actually Mike and I were planning for our 10-year anniversary. And we wanted to go on a vacation because we'd never really taken a vacation, just us, to go somewhere and enjoy ourselves and to really reconnect and, reestablish our relationship. So once I had it in my mind that we were going to do a 10-year anniversary, there was nothing going to stop me from that. So I was thinking, where can we go? And we decided on Thailand. And so it didn't matter how late I could be up till 2 o'clock in the morning researching all the different little resorts in Thailand, and where's a good place to get food, and where's a good place to see the mountains, and where's a good place to go to the beach, and our church has a resort in Thailand, so how are we going to work this out, and figuring out the schedule. It's like I couldn't stop myself from trying to figure it all out. And interestingly enough, I had it all budgeted and worked out according to the plane tickets when I'd first researched it. When the time came to actually buy the plane tickets to go to Thailand, they had more than doubled. And that trip was no longer in our budget. But for me, it was like, I could have gotten really discouraged or like, oh man, this is so hard. I put all this hard work into it, so what are we going to do now? I was like, okay, well, where can we go? And so I was like, okay, let's go. Can we go to Canada? Can we go to Puerto Rico? We could go to Dominican Republic. We could go to the Bahamas. We could go to Jamaica. And then, what does Jamaica have? Well, Jamaica's got mountains, and Jamaica's got coffee, and Jamaica's got beaches, and Jamaica's got Bob Marley. So it was like when you've got a passion for something, it's like things just flow and things just click, and maybe things that would normally be an obstacle or frustration or a disappointment aren't really an obstacle or a frustration or a disappointment. They're just a little bump towards your big goal, And I tell you, planning that trip was almost, not quite as much fun, but almost as fun as being there, because I had a passion for it, and I was so enthusiastic for what we were going to do. So, what is it for you? What experiences have you had where you felt so passionate, so excited about something? We also know that God created us in His image, right? So our true dreams and passions come from God. And we're also intrinsically connected to God. So really, the true desires of our heart, our deepest passions, our deepest loves, the things that we are most excited about, if we think about the entirety of our life, these passions are not separated from God. Because we're created in God's image. Actually, whatever it is in our heart that we feel called to, that we feel passionate about, it must be a reflection of something that God is passionate about. So going beyond the vacation or going beyond the video game console, sometimes these are buried deeper. Sometimes it's easy for us to think about, oh yeah, I'm passionate about Italian cuisine, or I'm passionate about my next vacation, I'm passionate about my next job. But what is our big passion, I feel like God has put something in each of us that reflects something very special about God. And he wants to see that manifested in our life, like our whole life. But sometimes this is buried a little bit deeper. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of our passions or enthusiasms because we feel like, oh, it's too big. I'm really excited about this, but I don't see how I could ever do this in my lifetime. Or maybe we've taken a couple steps towards it and we've been shut down or we've been hurt. Or we feel like maybe there's not really a place for that here. Sometimes it takes a little bit of digging and excavating. Sometimes it takes a bit of reflection to find what are really the deepest desires, deepest passions of our heart. Sometimes it's simply because we're just too caught up in what's right in front of us. Right? We've all got so many things on our plate. We've got responsibilities, we've got a job, we've got to make the money so that we can survive. We've got kids, we've got grandkids, you could probably name 100 things that you've got to do right now. And we feel like that's life sometimes. Sometimes we feel like, we know that that's part of life, but sometimes we feel like that's what life is. But life is not just fulfilling responsibilities, checking things off the to-do list, taking the next thing we got to do and putting it to the side and going on to the next one. There's something beyond that God is calling us towards. And I feel like once we really identify it, once we truly connect to that, once we really know what it is, I think sometimes we kind of try not to know what it is, or we don't really want to go there because it's too much trouble. But I think once we really get it, we can't forget it. We can't ignore it, not for long. Because we've identified our purpose. We've connected ourselves to our true purpose in life. When we start pursuing our passions, we actually start resembling our truest self, and we start resembling God. I actually found this online, and I thought it was so cool. Did you know what the root of the word enthusiasm is? Some people do. Oh, you were so good. I had no. So enthusiasm is from enthuse, right? And that is a Greek origin. It's two words in Greek. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce these correctly in Greek, but en means in. En in Greek means in. And thous, which enthusiasm comes from, right, means God. So one who is enthusiastic is in God. When we are really living out our purpose, when we're really being our truest self, resembling God, we are in God. And enthusiasm bubbles out of that. So I feel like that one of my God-given passions, this is something that I hadn't really identified until a few years ago, but when I really just sat down and thought, what, aside from what I feel like I should do, or things that I'm told to do, or things that I feel like are important to do, if I really think about what I feel I am called to do, it's actually pretty simple. I've found that my passion in life is to create a truly loving family where love flows between me and my husband, between us and our children, and among the siblings. And it's so free-flowing, and it's so, there's so much of it that it just overflows, and it touches other people, and it pulls other people in. And people feel not part of our family, but they feel like they're part of God's family. That's really it. And of course, we're pastors and we're doing different things, but I feel that all of this is just a part of my big passion to create this truly loving family that overflows with love and pulls everybody in. I really feel like that's it. That's my life's purpose. And when I feel like that we're making progress in this direction, and that the love is growing, and that it's moving, and it's touching other people, that's all I need. My heart is overflowing. I'm at peace. Doesn't matter what kind of crazy stuff is going on in my life. If I feel that this is what's happening, if I feel that the love is free flowing, I'm really at peace in my life. It's not always that way, although that's my passion. Sometimes there's discord, sometimes there's frustration, sometimes there's anger. When it's that way, I can't ignore it, at least not for long. And I've got to find another way to move our family forward. I've got to find a way to work through this frustration. I've got to find a way to create harmony. Because for myself, I feel like there's no other option. I won't accept anything other than what my heart's desire is. It might be this way today, but a week from now, it's not going to be that way, because that's not an option for me, because that's my passion. I have a quote here. This is from, I should have shared this at the beginning, but this is a really lovely quote from the Bible. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. So I feel like what you have decided in your heart is like your passion. You've found it, you've decided on it. And God loves a cheerful giver. I'll come back to that, but that's kind of like the overall theme. But this is a quote from Father that I wanted to share. Noah came to realize the preciousness of the relationship with which heaven had raised him up, called him, and commanded him. The deeper his understanding became, the greater his relationship with heaven. As days went by, he felt deeply about the greatness of the will of the internal heart of God. For that reason, although no one gave him recognition and numerous people ridiculed and rejected him, Noah did not abandon the building of the ark for 120 years. Actually, a lot of times when I think about Noah, I think about, that must have really been awful. I would not want to be Noah. I would not want to spend 120 years of my life building a boat on top of a mountain while everybody's making fun of me and my family thinks I'm crazy. Like, that just sounds like a life of suffering. But something that I get out of this quote is that maybe that was what was going on in his immediate surroundings. Maybe that was what is happening today or right in front of his face. But he wasn't connected to that. Noah was connected to the preciousness of his relationship with God and everything that God had invested in him, and he felt called to respond. Without that passion of that relationship and that relationship of love for God, the 120 years wouldn't have happened, right? Here's another one. And whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not to men. This reminds me of that quote I shared a while back from Mother Teresa, right? It goes something like, whatever you build, people might tear down in a day. Whatever you give, people might say you did it selfishly. There's all these things that she's saying. But she said, in the end, it's between you and God. It wasn't about them anyway, right? So take some time, reflect. Start to peel away these layers of maybe past hurts, of your baggage, or take a step back from all this clutter that's going on in front of you right now and see beyond that. So what is God calling you to? And not what you feel like you should do because it's right, but if you really connect to what you feel you are called to, that is right, because God has given that to you. So take some time to find this passion. I found so many great quotes. This is another one from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. And this is another one from William Ward. Enthusiasm and persistence can make an average person superior. Indifference and lethargy can make a superior person average. So what does that mean? It means you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have all the skills, all the resources, all the knowledge. If you've got it in your heart, that can set you apart. It can give you the edge that you need to accomplish your goals. So, if that had been me out there, if I was one of my children and if I was doing the toy sale and the lemonade sale, I feel like that this is where my message would have ended today, about finding my passion and going for it and really, letting that carry me. But I have something more to share, because I was not my child out there. I was the parent watching my children do this. And I have to tell you, I was so moved by them, because they went out there with a little rocking chair, a couple little signs that nobody could read, 15 or 20 little toys, and they went out there with everything they had. I have a couple of pictures of them. Look at them, flagging down. They were jumping up and down. They were waving at people. They were doing moves. They were giving it all they had. And I mean, just from my viewpoint, I could see that they didn't have enough materials to make their goal, They didn't know anything about how to, if somebody gave them a $5 bill, how to exchange that, for $4. They didn't have any of that, but they were doing it anyway. So if you were in that position, what would your heart be? If you were the parent? I couldn't help myself. I had to run out there. I had to take these pictures. I had to encourage them. And I said, okay, guys, what else can we do? Let's get a couple tables, and I'll help you get some more toys together. This was also actually in my own self-interest, because I've been wanting to clean out the room and get rid of stuff. But I'll fill up some boxes of toys, and you tell me what you want to sell, okay? And we'll put them out on the tables, and let's make a bigger sign, And then that night he said, okay, let's get some lemonade, let's get some water, because it's hot outside, and people will stop for a drink. Some people came by expecting lemonade, and there wasn't lemonade, But I feel like I had to be a part of this. I had to help them. I had to help them to be successful. Even though actually I don't care about video games, but I wanted them to have this feeling of accomplishment and joy in fulfilling their goals that they had set out for themselves. It totally moved my heart. So this is my heart as a parent, but then this is the great thing about being a parent, is you can learn so many things about God, because God is our parent, right? So I take this situation and I look at God, and I think, well, what does God feel? It's the same for God. When he sees our passion, if he sees our determination, if he sees us running after our goals, even if we don't have the resources, even if we don't have the right clothes on, even if we don't have, the right words to say, if he sees us going after our passions with everything we've got, do you think God will say, well, good luck with that? I don't know how it's going to go, but, You can have a go at it. No. I feel like it's just a spiritual reality. If God is our parent, right? This is like the whole premise of our faith. So maybe some of you might be questioning this. Maybe this is still hard to grasp. But if God is our parent and we are his children, if we connect to our passion and our purpose, and we go after it, despite our fears, despite our current reality, despite the obstacles we have, if we go after it, God cannot help but be moved to help us. I feel like that's really the heart behind this whole 5% responsibility and God's 95% responsibility. It sounds very technical and like, okay, well, I've just got to check off my to-do list to get to my 5%. But actually, I feel like a lot of this 5% is just our heart. It's just our heart to do what we can do with whatever we have to the best of our abilities. And God cannot help but to come in with everything else to help us achieve the goal. So it's kind of funny because, if my children had been 17, if my kids were now 17 years old and they went out and they decided that they wanted to raise money for a video game console, I would have a little bit different expectations of them, right? I would trust them to do exchanging the money on their own. I would expect them to make a nice sign, I would be more concerned about them, giving good customer service and, really taking care of the people that came to them. I feel like that sometimes we expect ourselves to be the mature 17-year-old, and we feel like, I can't do that. I can't do all the things that I need to do. I can't fulfill all the expectations that God has for me. But God knows us. God knows where we are. Maybe we're 4 years old spiritually. Maybe we're 7 years old spiritually. Maybe we're 20. But God knows where we're at. Right? I know where my children are at. I didn't expect them to do all those things. I was willing to help them there. So wherever you're at, God knows. He'll help you there. So, here's more people pulling up and stopping. Actually, the very last day, it was interesting, I feel like, so the first day went pretty well. It just gave them a lot of energy to have people stop and give them money and stuff. The second day was the 4th of July, and I thought, well, why not? People will be out with their families. It'll, they'll be off of work, so they'll be happy and wanting to spend money. Actually, the 4th of July was completely dead. Apparently, this is not a busy street on the 4th of July. But they sat there, they sat there for a good 3 hours while maybe 3 or 4 people came by that whole time. And it was tough. It was actually tough for me to watch them on this challenging day because it was hot out on the 4th of July. It was very warm that day, and they were sitting out in the sun, and their waves were starting to get like this, and I was reminding, okay, remember to smile. But they did it, But then on the 5th of July, people were back at work. We went out around 5 o'clock, and I love that they were willing to do it again, even after a tough day. They went out there and did it again. And then on this day, people just gave them money. We had a couple people stop by and just give them a $20 bill and say, here, keep it, or a couple bottles of water. Here's a 20, And I felt like that they had a big goal. For an 8-year-old, how big of a goal is $150? It's a big goal. And they weren't even thinking about, if they had looked at what they had made in the first 2 days, it was probably maybe $70, $80, 80, 85, I don't know. And if they had looked at that and thought, well, if it's going to take me another 3 or 4 days to make that much, maybe they get discouraged about how much they have to sit in the hot sun and how much they have to work. But they weren't thinking about that. They said, let's just go out and do it again. I feel like that not only myself as a parent, wanting to help them out, but really like everything was mobilized to help them achieve their goal. So of course, we need our skills. We need our resources. We have to bring what we have to the table. We can't just say, I want this and expect it to come, I'm passionate about it, so where is it? But I feel like that we will develop, if we go after our passion, we do it with enthusiasm, the skills will come, the resources will come, and God will come. So that was my inspiration this week. I just couldn't help but be moved by my children and the lessons that they taught me this week. Thank you for those of you who did help out and stopped, and if you didn't get a chance, they'll probably do it again the next time they think of something they want. So, but I hope that you can take something from this simple story and relate it to your life. You can find so many different parallels of so many parallels in life. But most of all, take the time to think about, what is it? It doesn't matter who you are. Maybe you feel like I don't have anything to offer. I've tried and I've failed. It doesn't matter who you are. There is something in you that reflects something special in God. And maybe you can't think of what your passion is. Or maybe you're very clear about what your passion is. Maybe you're already on that road. But I hope that you can reconnect to that and also know what God's perspective is on you and know that He's there with you. Okay? So have a wonderful week. Thank you so much. And love you all.
Thank you so much, Adonia, for not only reminding us, what's really truly in our nature, but the steps that it takes to get there. I know personally, I can definitely understand where you're coming from. I think in my own role, my own job, I went in there with limited skills, but I had the passion, and it's caused me so much success. So thank you so much for sharing so deeply. Let's give another round of applause to Adonia. I'd like to welcome up the ushers at this time, and anybody in the audience who'd like to give your offering. They're walking down the aisles now, and I'll meet them at the front, and then we'll have a prayer all together.
Good morning, Heavenly Parent. We come before you today with a deep wish in our heart that everything that was collected, every penny can be used to build your kingdom on this earth. However, even if we have the most beautiful church in the world, it is not what we're really seeking. What we're really seeking is a deep relationship with you. As it says in 1 Peter, above all else, love one another deeply from the heart. That is our goal, to create a family that you can dwell within, to feel within ourselves that we really are living for the sake of others. Thank you so much for all the blessings that you give to us every day, Heavenly Parent. I report in the name of Roger and Hiromi Wise, a blessed Central family. Adieu.
Thank you so much for volunteering. So we have a couple of announcements that I'd like to share, and if you don't mind reflecting it on the screen, that would be wonderful. So as usual, we are so lucky to be in a community with a lot of engagement and activity, And our first opportunity I'd like to share with everybody is how today at 12:30, Dr. Michael Hentrick will be sharing a little bit more about prayer based on the teachings of the Divine Principle. And it's really for anybody looking for a deeper understanding of our main teaching, the Divine Principle, and anybody who'd like to really connect a little bit deeper around the theme of prayer. So if you feel inspired, if you'd like to get connected, please come today at 12:30. I believe it's going to be right here in this room, in that room. Thank you for keeping me honest. Our next event I'd like to remind everybody about is how we have a Peace Starts With Me event with our founder's wife, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon. She'll be the keynote speaker at Madison Square Garden. And here in the church, we will be having the live stream from 12 noon to 3 p.m. So please, everybody who are not flying out, please come out and attend. There will be snacks available, so nobody will go hungry. But please bring your cell phone so you can get the translation that you're looking for. And additionally, the details of the live broadcast to watch it at home will be sent out as available. And as a reminder, if you have not yet made a donation to support this event, please feel free to do so today or online as well. We have many opportunities to give back and to put your love and passion into action, as Pastor Adonia talked about today. As you can see, we have many opportunities, and please consider and think about how do you like to give back to make this community and this church service more of a success. And if you have any questions, please talk to Pastor Mike for further opportunity. And this is our upcoming schedule for Divine Principle retreats in Las Vegas. So there's 4 days and 7-day intervals as well in Las Vegas. And if you're interested in attending, don't be shy. Talk to our pastors as well. And next week, the wonderful Tamayo family will be leading the volunteer efforts, but we still need a little bit of help. So if anybody is looking for an opportunity to give back around cooking or cleaning, we definitely would appreciate your support there. To usher. Yes, exactly. Thank you. And we have a special person here today who will be giving a short testimony about her recent trip. I've talked to Mike about her, and she's a wonderful sister in our community, and we're so happy that she's going to be speaking a little bit more about her recent trip to Japan. So CARP has been doing international trips, and she has recently come back for the most recent one. So please help me welcome up Amy Vogenthaler to speak about her CARP trip. Let's keep it going. Woohoo! Sure, yeah, feel free. And just for more context for those who might not be familiar with the purpose of the CARP trips, this is their signature event every year, and it's really to invest in a lot of the international relationships from USA CARP and Japanese CARP and also Korean CARP. So they all meet in Japan and they reconnect to a lot of the roots and the special places in Japan. And I'm sure Amy will speak a little bit more about that when she's ready.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so yeah, I just came back a couple days ago from the Hyojung USA CARP trip to Japan and Korea, and it was like a 2-week trip. And a lot of the trip was just about Father's pilgrimage, and we also had started with like a 2-day DP workshop from Nakamura-san, and we also had like Tokuno-san give like some talks to us, and he's the president of the church in Japan. So it was a pretty big deal that these people came out to invest so much love into us. And so this was 120 of us in this center called Ishin in Chiba, Japan. And the DP workshop was a really great way to start off this whole trip, because I think it really prepared a lot of us for Father's workshop. And actually there was about 30 first gen around my age who were fairly new to the church, so this was a good, I guess, introduction to a lot of like our like foundation to them, because a lot of them are pretty new to the DP, but also it was a lot for them to take in. But otherwise, it was very successful, and that's Tokuno-san. And that was like our group photo after the workshop. And the person speaking up there is named Jermaine Bishop, and he is the LA CARP president. And he's a first gen, and he basically was the MC throughout the trip and was constantly giving us all of like preparing us for Father's pilgrimage as much as he could, and he joined the church just shortly after Father passed away, around like over 4 years ago. But I was so moved by his like enormous amount of love for true parents, because it made me realize a lot about how much he was just prepared to give to true parents, and how much like I really like needed to see that in another person to realize how much I haven't done that enough myself. So this was our first pilgrimage, and it was to Waseda University in Tokyo. And on the way to Waseda University, we stopped at a lot of the places True Father first went to when he went to Tokyo, and like the places he stayed, and the first place he gave Sunday service in Japan. And although a lot of the places that Father actually stayed in are not there anymore because they were bombed during World War II, you could definitely still feel a lot of the energy that he left there and invested in there. And yeah, most of Waseda University was new buildings, but it's pretty incredible to see the amount of change that went, because we were looking over photos of what it used to look like when Father was attending Waseda University, when he went there for, I believe it was like electrical engineering, and it was a pretty significant amount of difference. So while there, with the Japanese CARP, we did an International Borderless Conference where a couple J-CARP members shared basically what they love about their country and things that they want to do to make the world a better place. And we also had some of our members from USA CARP share things that they loved about our country. And this is Jennifer Pierce, and she shared how she's actually a descendant from Andrew Pierce, the 14th President of the United States. And she basically shared about how basically the dream of America was so that no matter what your background, you can come here and build your dreams no matter what they may be. And then after that, we went back to Ishin, and then we had an exchange with the Japanese CARP. And then we basically each were given like a J-CARP brother or sister. And this was my J-CARP sister. Her name's Yuka. My middle name is Yuka, and we found out our second kanji is the same. It's the kaori for fragrance. And she actually told me that a lot of second gen in the church have that same kanji, so that was a really cool connection that we got to make. And then the J-CARP had some like dances and performances to share with us, and we ate with them. And then we sang Put a Little Love in Your Heart to them, and then we also sang Hyoshim, which is a song that we were practicing multiple times a day because we were performing it for several different occasions. And at some points it felt a little grueling because we had to practice it so much. But the J-CARP members, the first verse is basically in Japanese and the second one is in Korean. And it's a song about, let me see if I can find the lyric translation. So it's basically saying like, God, please do not worry about anything because we are here for you. Even if the path we cross may be difficult, we are still grateful. Even if it takes a long time, we are still grateful. Please allow us to be true filial children who can comfort your parents' heart. And while we were singing this song, it actually like moved the J Carp members so much that a lot of them began crying. And that was like our first time performing it, so it didn't feel like such a profound experience at first until I saw that they were crying, and I realized like that this song had a much deeper meaning for them because this was in their language. And then after that, the J Carp members gave some like testimonies about witnessing and their experiences, and then we had some of our first gen give testimonies about what it was like to be witnessed to. And then after that, we broke into groups, about like 10, 15, 20 people groups, like went into stay at J Carp houses because there's a lot of chapters in Tokyo. And it just depended on how big the J Carp house was for the amount of people staying at each one. This was not my J Carp house, but this was one of them. There was about like, I think 15 people staying at this one. And then the next day we attended Sunday service at the local church near our J Carp house. And my group was actually only 4 girls because we were staying at a really small J Carp house, and it was a sisters only house. So we had Jinka from LA, and then Jasmine also from LA, then me, and then another J Carp sister who was with us throughout the trip named Natsuo. And first, like, none of us really knew each other, and we were not sure about like having such a tiny group because we were the smallest group, but we actually got to connect a lot with the J Carp sisters. And all of us were like part Japanese, and our Japanese is like very so-so, so we were worried about how we were going to be able to communicate with J Carp. But even though there was like a little bit of a language barrier, we all knew enough Japanese to be able to share with them and introduce ourselves, and they stayed up all night to like learn about us, and like we were just able to connect with them so deeply. And then after Sunday service, the church members there took us out for lunch and everything, and I guess I didn't expect any of that kind of treatment. And they also like gave us like handkerchiefs, and like they were like so like loving towards us, and I just like didn't know how to fully like convey my gratitude towards them. And after that, we went to tour Tokyo a little bit, and we went to Asakusa, and this is Sensoji Shrine. Oh, and this is the 2 sisters on the right side are J Carp sisters, Mai and Natsuo, and then in between me are the 2 LA Carp sisters. And then we did like some Japanese photo booth. The kanji for that there is Setagaya, because that's the house we were staying at in Tokyo. And then we went to the headquarters in Shibuya. And then they gave us free Mikol at headquarters, since, you know, the church owned Mikol. And then back at the center, we had one of Hyojinem's band members, who was the pianist, give us a testimony about what it was like working with Hyojinem and a lot about his heart. And then after that, we went to Korea. And the first place we went to was Sun Moon University, and it was really nice that they had like this banner printed out just to welcome us. And while there, they gave us a presentation about Sun Moon University's vision and the founding of it and everything. And we got to see like your parents' room in there and everything. And then we went to Champyong to stay there for a couple nights. And then we did Chanyeon and everything. And like a lot of us went up to the Tree of Blessing early in the morning. And then after that, we began our pilgrimage in Korea, and we went to Busan first, and basically we were given a testimony from one of the people who worked at Busan about how just a few weeks before, True Mother went there because she was missing True Father, and she went there completely unannounced, didn't tell anyone, she just went there on her own. And they explained to us that this is a really special place to True Mother and that she comes here whenever she misses Father. So then after receiving that, we went to the Rock of Tears, and this was the view of Busan while we were hiking up there. And then this is everyone at the Rock of Tears and praying. And after that, we went to Champadong, which was one of the first churches in Korea. And while there, we were given another few testimonies about the people who helped run the facility, about Father's beginnings, and it was such a small place, a really humble place, and it reminded me, I guess I don't really often think about how humble True Parents' beginnings are, but you could just feel the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that was invested in that place, and most of it was kept exactly the way True Father left it. And we got to see a lot of like the True Children's rooms, and we were told stories about how a lot of the times that when True Parents didn't have time for them and they were alone, they had to cry themselves to sleep. And made me really think a lot about the suffering that the True Children had to go through for the sake of the members to be taken care of. And then after that, we went to the Assembly of the Republic of Korea, and we held our own little international College Gate Symposium. And basically 3 members from LA gave basically like presentations about the division of North and South Korea and why reunification of North and South Korea is something that is an issue that's not really something a lot of young South Koreans care enough about these days, and why it's still something that we should invest to. And then there was a Q&A after, and then someone from J-Carp and someone from K-Carp also gave presentations. Afterwards, we took some group photos. And then after that, we went to the K-Carp Center, and there we did another exchange, but with K-Carp, and we sang Hyoshim for them as well, and put a little love in your heart. And they also did some performances with us, and we had food with them, and we just had a talent show with them, and a really good time. And then the next day was really special, because then we got to have our special lunch with True Mother, and it was just the 120 of us with her. And she shared a message about why she wants us all to be there at Madison Square Garden, because it's going to be a really historical event, and her hopes for CARP, and why she thinks CARP is so important to invest into, because we need to witness to more people, basically, because she needs to know that she can count on us. And so we sang Hyoshim a few times, but this was the one we were really practicing for. So first we sang Put a Little Love in Your Heart to Mother, and the whole time she was smiling and clapping. But when we started singing Hyoshim, by the time we got to the Korean verse, and we were telling True Mother not to worry anymore, because we want to be someone who can comfort her heart, I don't think any of us were really prepared for that, because we all immediately just started crying when we were singing that. And I think we realized that we were receiving so much love, and we just didn't have enough to give. And I had practiced that song so many times, and it almost felt brain dead singing it after how many times I had sung it. But by that time, I felt like basically like it was singing it like for the first time again. And it felt really different being able to have this opportunity, because this isn't something I thought American members would ever get the opportunity to do. And it was a very, very special event. And after that, I felt like I was constantly struggling with just realizing that I had received so much during this trip, but I just didn't have anything to give, and made me realize that all these things I was struggling with, like feeling like envious of other communities and other things like that they were really just small trivial things that were really not things that I needed to be tripping over so much. And made me realize that there is so much more to this movement than just like, I guess that in my day-to-day life can feel like it really gets drowned out by just like going to school and work every day. And yeah, we ended with a Monse, of course. And that was pretty much the end of our Korea trip. And then we went back to Japan. And then our last few days in Japan, it was mostly just reflection and talking about determination and plans for the future. And a lot of universities in California are hoping to start new CARP chapters. So we were devising ways that we could help support them and helping them think of ways to establish those, because getting advisors and petitions for those is really difficult. And on the last day, basically, we all just had fun and went to Tokyo Disneyland. And after that, we basically just went home, and that's it. But Kayla and Krista were also there, and they wanted me to also give you guys like all their love and let you know that we were all like really grateful to have this opportunity, and we're grateful to everyone that donated to this trip, because really all the donations made this possible. All 120 participants only basically had to pay for pocket money and their plane tickets, and everything else was completely covered, all by donations. And this is something CARP does every year, and we're hoping that next year that we can bring even more people, like double the number, maybe like 340 people. But we hope that this is something that can continue to grow, and this is something that we want to keep working towards every year, because this is something that gives a lot of first-gen opportunities that they never could have otherwise. But not only first-gen, a lot of second-gen around the country who are also from smaller communities don't really get much opportunities to go on things like this. And this was something that was just really rewarding and really, really amazing. Like, I cannot express the amount of just constant love and empowerment that I felt throughout this trip. But it was a really phenomenal opportunity, and I'm sorry I don't have like much more prepared. I'm really jet lagged, and I'm trying to catch up my online classes, but thank you for letting me share.
Thank you so much, Amy, for not only representing our community, but it seems like you really opened up your heart, and God responded with the 95%. As Adonia said, it was so well-fitting with our sermon today. So I'd like to welcome our band back up to close us out with the last two songs, and ask everybody to rise and close out the program together. You have one more now? One song. Thank you.
Our last song today will be By the Spring of Life.